Thank you for showing up today. I'm excited to share with you how to land your right fit executive role with more pay and more impact without having to constantly feel like you're struggling to be seen and without turning your job search into its own full-time job, which none of us has time for, right? So first of all, thank you for coming. My name is Lori Howard. I'm an executive career coach and a leadership consultant. And the first thing I want to do is make sure you're in the right place. So first of all, who is this for? It is for senior managers, directors, VPs, SVPs, looking for a roadmap to be seen as an executive leader. If you feel like you're not quite seen at that level or you're not quite seen at the right level, this is the right space for you. If you're a CIO, CTO, CDO, or any one of a number of other C-suite roles in the tech and tech adjacent spaces, and you're looking for an opportunity to challenge you, to create an impact that makes you proud while getting paid what you deserve, this is a good spot for you. And if you're a technology leader ready to establish your brand and your reputation as a leader within your company or within the industry overall, this is a good spot for you. If maybe you've been wondering, how do I land an executive leadership role with a company that values and appreciates me instead of taking me for granted? You're in the right spot. If you've been wondering, how do I offer irresistible and inimitable value that companies are eager to pay a premium for? What does it really take to have your contributions and achievements rewarded with promotion opportunities in your organization? And exactly what do you need to do and what do you need to not do to position yourself for an epic job in the C-suite? And finally, if you're looking for how to promote and market yourself to get seen as an executive leader by the executives, board, and investors in your organization or in another organization, this is a good place for you. So if you feel like, wait a minute, I might be a bit of an outlier here, Lori, I'm not sure. So if you're questioning if you're at the right company or even considering a career shift, this is still a good place. If you know you want to land a job in the C-suite or even lock in an executive level position, director level and up, whether that's as an individual contributor or as a people leader these days, this masterclass is for you. So let me tell you a little bit about me before we continue. As I said, my name is Lori Howard. I started out with a career in technology. Last year, I discovered that my technology career spanned the third industrial revolution. So I graduated with a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and a minor in computer science. And then I went to work as a developer and programmer. I worked as a project manager, PMO leader, worked my way up to vice president in a technology vertical, reporting to the CIO and CTO. And then throughout my technology career, coworkers, friends, staff would seek my help and seek me out specifically to help them with their careers and job challenges. And I helped them get results. In 2006, I left my corporate role in tech, decided I wanted to do something different, made a transition into executive coaching in technology, and I signed my first client. And then in 2007, I launched my business full-time. So based on my experience for myself, gaining visibility, getting promoted, and along with the successes of those I've helped, I developed and tested a strategy and methodology to help executives in tech identify and land their perfect fit next job. Now for over 15 years, because I really don't like to count at this point, because then it reminds me of how old I actually am, I have successfully helped many hundreds of clients and leaders and executives in technology roles and in technology industries to find and land their epic job. So what are we going to cover today? Well, we're going to cover, first of all, the exact 3 steps to help you find and land your perfect executive role. We're going to talk about 3 of the most deadly executive job search mistakes I see people make and the type of search that you need to employ to guarantee your success. I want to make sure that I'm sharing with you what you need to know about how to effectively market yourself and your experience so that you can attract right fit opportunities to you. Because yes, the job search works 2 ways these days. You putting out feelers and you and positioning yourself for things and you attracting opportunities. So you seeking and opportunities finding you, and you want that that two-way element to be working on your behalf. And I want to share with you the biggest interview mistake I see people make, and then the one thing you need to turn interviews into offers. And finally, we're going to look at what the next steps could look like for your career. So let's start with the biggest mistake overall that I see most people make. And that is thinking about your job search only when it's time to change jobs or change companies. This approach is so costly and so many people do it. I talk to someone probably every day at this point who has made this mistake. So what happens when you make this mistake? You might find yourself at an executive level without an executive level network. I just talked to someone earlier today who's experiencing that challenge. Here's what happens in your career that we don't really think about a whole lot. When you're more junior, you have lots of peers in your organization, outside your organization. As you move up, there are fewer and fewer peers, right? Because there are fewer managers leading all the staff. And the further up you go, the fewer peers you have within an organization. That means that you have to be proactive and intentional about developing a network within your organization at an executive level, as well as outside. And that means at and above your level, because those are the people who are going to be most able to put you in touch and connect you with opportunities. If you're not thinking about this until it's time to look for work, you will find yourself at an executive level without an executive level network. And I made this mistake myself. I didn't understand. I was late to the networking party. Took me a while to grasp this. You could find yourself unprepared for sudden terminations, layoffs, reorganizations. Let's look at the last couple of years. A lot of people in 2020 suddenly found themselves without a job, and not just at the staff level, at an executive level. And if you haven't been thinking that could happen, which none of us saw the pandemic coming, right? That was a surprise to most of us, and certainly to the corporate world. Then you'll be unprepared. Mergers and acquisitions happen all the time today. It's a very frequent occurrence. And when you are acquired, often the executive level is replaced. The other thing that this can cost you is you just lose touch with the marketplace and you're not current with market trends and needs. And by marketplace, I mean job market, to be clear. And I see that happen to a lot of people. I mean, we've all seen in the last couple of years how fast things have begun to change. It feels like work and the corporate environment are changing at an accelerated rate. Well, that includes the job market and how the job search works. In 2020, LinkedIn began to become more dominant than it was before for job seekers. In 2021, they expanded that dominance to the recruiting side. It's already had a strong foothold. That has intensified and expanded and deepened. In 2022, in many cases, LinkedIn is the only tool used as part of the job search, as opposed to some of the other, as opposed to being dependent more on a resume. Now you still need both, but now everyone sees LinkedIn and only some people see your resume. If you're not current with what's happening in the job market and current with what people are looking for and what skills they want, it's an expensive mistake to make. And finally, your job search skills alone, even if you're really good at interviewing when you got your last job, you might not be as skilled today to interview to get the next job. And you might not be ready to compete with other job seekers. And let's face it, while the job market is full of opportunity right now, so many opportunities out there for you to take advantage of if you're looking, it is also full of competition. So you want to make sure your skills are current at all times and they don't lag too far behind. So in this world of rapid change, as an executive leader, you certainly do not want to be caught unprepared. You know this in your business. This also needs to apply to how you manage your career. So there's a better way. What's that, Lori? Well, first, you need a career strategy and a plan. So that first of all, you always have a network of leaders ready to support you. You're always ready for your next opportunity. And you have a reputation and have established a reputation as a leader in demand. And then all future searches for the perfect fit next role will be short, fast, and easy because you have the right skills in the job search, in networking, in interviewing to confidently land the right job for you. Sounds like a great place to be, right? To finally feel like you're always prepared. Well, so what are the steps you need to land your right fit executive role with more pay and more impact? You need three things, and we're going to talk about these three things for the rest of this class. Number one, you need clarity on your right fit roles. You need your own unique value proposition, which is a differentiator, and you need an optimized executive job search strategy. Now, in my experience, most people go right for the optimized executive job search strategy and start with the resume and LinkedIn profile and go from there without stopping or even noting steps 1 or 2. They assume that they'll sort themselves out on their own based on number 3, and that is not true. In fact, you'll end up looping back through 1 and 2 if you don't do them to start out. So why do you need these 3 things? Well, you need clarity because what's the old saying? I think it's Yogi Berra. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. If you're not clear about where you want to go, who knows where you could end up? And for the most part, you end up places that aren't so great. I have clients who have come to me and have had a whole career history where they're like, well, this popped up, so I took it. This popped up, so I took it. And then they find themselves in a place where they're like, I don't really know what I did. I don't know why I did it. I don't really like it. And I'm tired of jumping from job to job and not enjoying it. And that can happen quite frequently. You need your own UVP because you've got to set yourself apart. You have to, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. And then the optimized executive job search strategy, that includes not just your tools, but how you approach the job search. So you want that to be efficient and effective and expedient and working on your behalf with minimal effort needed by you. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So what are the exact steps you need to take to get those 3 things that you need? Okay. 1, identify what is your perfect fit target job, where you excel, make an impact, and where you receive high value compensation. What is your ideal next role? Step 2, you want to dominate the job market through clear brand differentiation. That's why you need a UVP. That's why that's so important. And step 3, you need to make sure you have mastered the craft of networking, that you have maintained and developed and continue to expand and nurture your network, that you have masterful interviewing skills. In today's job market, what I have seen happen is that you will now have more and more people than ever before interviewing you. You might get you might get through the system. You'll get a first interview with a recruiter, then with the HR person, then the hiring manager. And typically you would think it might end there, but not these days. In 2021 and 2022, you could end up interviewing with easily 6, 10, I've seen as many as 12 people interviewing a candidate. And everybody gets a vote to decide it's the right person. So interviewing is exhausting from the candidate's perspective, and that means you need to be a master at interviewing so that you can get to the point where you get to negotiate for the best offer. So let's talk about step 1 more in depth. How do you identify your perfect next role and know without a shadow of doubt what are the right roles for you? So first, we're going to talk about the mistake I see people make all the time regarding step 1 is that they just apply to every job available. So you make this mistake when you're applying just to everything you find that has a title that looks like it might be interesting. Your intention is typically to be open to possibilities. I talk to people all the time who they want to be open, they want to try new things, they want to make sure they're accessible, and they haven't closed doors unnecessarily. Unfortunately, when you apply to everything out there, what really happens is your job search becomes unclear and unfocused. You come across as uncertain and unsure about what you're capable of doing and what you want to do. And the message you send unintentionally is that you don't know what you want. And that is the fastest way to miss out on a really good fit opportunity. In today's job market, and this has been true for a few years now, Companies and hiring managers rely on you as the job seeker to prove to them at every stage that you are the perfect candidate for the job. That's every opening at every level. The entire recruiting effort these days is designed around this dependency. That includes the ATS systems, recruiter interviews, manager interviews, and everything else. To get any job today, you must make the case for yourself as the best candidate. So let's talk about how that can play out. I want to share with you the story of one of my clients, Roger. Now, Roger's name is in quotes because I take my client confidentiality seriously, and I really don't want to share their stories and give their real names when it's a don't follow Roger's example kind of story. So the story is true. Roger's name is not Roger. Now, so Roger was a VP of technology. He worked in his current or previous company for over 10 years. So he'd been there a while through multiple job markets. Now, looking for a change, he was looking for something different. He wanted to do something new. He felt blocked and he was ready to move on. So his goal was to show up as open to possibilities. He was an experienced strategic leader in technology, and he was the primary decision maker for technology solutions. He was certainly ready for a VP of technology role in another organization. So here was his approach. This is the approach he took. He created a resume, used traditional work history. There's a work history as autobiography approach that I talk about where we tend to capture our work history as it unfolds. So when we talk about our role as a software engineer, we describe it using terms that we would have used when we were a software engineer, as opposed to telling that story through the lens of a VP or executive of technology. But he created his resume. He listed responsibilities, achievements, contributions. As I recall, Roger was using the STAR method wherever he could, really trying to bolster his achievements. And then he applied to everything that looked a little bit interesting to him. And that he wasn't sure about it, he applied. Now, his expectation was that hiring managers and recruiters would see his resume, read the details, and think about where he might fit into their organization and what would be a good match for him. And he waited for responses to the application submissions and recruiter outreach. And his results were that he got no interviews. And he had limited outreach and from recruiters, and often for wrong fit or more junior roles. And then he had mismatched opportunities by people who knew him. Ultimately, Roger was frustrated, right? Of course he was. He was disappointed. He was confused. We've all had those feelings. He felt like he was wasting time even looking. So what was wrong? Well, a quick glance at his resume and LinkedIn profile showed what the problem was. So what you need to keep in mind is in today's active job market, your resume and LinkedIn profile, either one, have about 7 to 10 seconds to convey what you offer, where you thrive, and what role you're best suited for. If that information can't be found in a quick scan, and I mean a visual scan by a human, most hiring managers, it'll never even get past the HR people to the hiring manager. And you'll be passed over before you're even considered. That's what happened to Roger. He wanted options and opportunities. He wanted choices. And instead of showing up as open to new things, he was showing up as ambiguous and unclear, and he got stuck. So what is the solution? Execute a targeted job search based on what aligns with your career goals. If you do this, you will further your career with every step because you strategically plan for your next job instead of going into your job search blind. By being intentional with your search, you dramatically increase your odds of landing a role you enjoy, where you find that satisfaction you're after, bigger impact, better financial rewards. And by not applying to every job available, you're not wasting your time. Your efforts are focused, and your chances of success are substantially higher. So let's go back again. What does it mean to get clarity? How do you identify your perfect next role so you can know what the right roles are for you? The first thing you need to identify are your key strengths and superpowers, along with your values. What's most important to you in your work? Without knowing these, it is very easy to land in the wrong job or the wrong company. The second thing you need to get clarity on are your pragmatic priorities. So I think of these as your professional priorities, what's important to you in a job that really has nothing to do with doing the job, and how do they rank so that you know what to demand and what to negotiate for. That could be paid time off. It could be pay for my gym membership. It could be any one of a number of things. It could be offer health and wellness benefits. It could be I want to work from home full time. There are all kinds of elements that might be important to you. It could be all about work-life balance and what that means for you. You need to identify all of these and get clear about all of this. So when I ask clients questions to get clear about what their ideal role is, I will typically ask these 5 questions at some point. 1, what are the activities you want to spend your time on day to day, week to week, month to month? What are the things you want to be doing? Who do you want to spend your time with? And by this, I mean, what role do you want to be working with? Are you looking to work with C-suite? Are you looking to work with other managers? Are you looking to work with engineers? Maybe you're looking to work with sales a little bit. Or are you looking to work with clients? Would you like to be client facing and have a relationship with them? Who is it that you want to spend your time with? What decisions do you want to make? I find that the what decisions you want to make combined with what impact do you want to create help us identify what level you're really at and what job titles actually apply. So, are you making strategic decisions, tactical decisions? Are you making business decisions or technology decisions, product decisions? What kind of decisions are you making? When I talk about where do you want to do all this, we're really talking about things like, it can be, I want to live in Chicago. It can also be, I want to live in Chicago, but I want to work 100% remote. And I want to be able to work from my winter home in Italy. And so I want to work remote 100% of the time, but I want the flexibility to do these things. It could be organizational culture or leadership culture elements. So when you think about where you want to do it, start thinking about what are the qualities of the organization you want to work for. That could be a size element. It could be a growth stage. It can also be, have they embraced DEI? Have they embraced certain people first strategies? Or where are they in their sort of maturity when it comes to how they deal with employees? And then finally, what is the impact you personally want to create? Is it on the people you lead? Is there an impact on the people you're with? Is it on the organization itself? Is it in the community at large or on the planet? These are all questions that you can ask and answer for yourself to get clarity. And this is what happens when you get clarity. Now you can create target company profiles and target job descriptions. And you have now the ability to ensure that every job you apply to is a good fit by matching it to these profiles. And that way you will get the best offers from right fit opportunities. You will take control of your career with confidence while you receive recognition and rewards for your achievements. You will land a job you enjoy and create an impact that makes you proud. And you will earn the income you deserve with daily satisfaction. Now, how great is that? That's what we're all after. So let's talk about, well, actually, I wanted to share with you a couple of quick client stories. These are 2 clients of mine, Pat on the left. I realized I forgot to put Robert's name in here. That's Robert on the right. Pat is currently, he went from a senior level executive to being a senior level individual contributor as an architect, I believe, for a very large, high profile technology firm. When we first started working together, he was frustrated that he could never, he thought this passion that he had for this industry and the space that he was in, it just never panned out in the work, in the jobs that he held. He was always frustrated. So as we worked together, the first things we did were get clear on his goals. What is it that he really wanted? Identify those target opportunities. Then we could help him stop selling himself short for those opportunities. Ultimately, after all our work together, he describes himself as getting that gig that would have fallen into daydream territory before we started our work together. And that just warms my heart and makes me feel great. With Robert, he came to me knowing he wanted to make some kind of transition. He knew what he wanted to move away from, but he wasn't sure what he could move to. He had a very long career on one track and was trying to figure out how to transition to something else. So we started by getting a clear picture for him of who he is, what were his strengths and talents, and what were his superpowers. And then we began to look at spaces in which he could apply them. Ultimately, we found something that really aligned with his passion, and we were able to translate all of that into targeted resumes and then into his conversations that led to interviews. And he describes himself as having confidence to express himself better than ever before. It's really because he now had a professional positioning statement, which we're going to talk about in a minute, where he was able to articulate what was important. So speaking of Robert, let's move into step 2 and talk about your unique, how do you get your unique value proposition? Well, you want to dominate the market through clear brand differentiation. So first, let's take a step back and talk about the most common mistake people make. They don't have a clearly articulated unique value proposition as an executive. Most executives think their years of experience and their job titles are going to speak on their behalf. They underestimate the impact of the search engines. LinkedIn has its own search engine and SEO. There are ATS methodologies. And often I find that these individuals don't know how to clearly articulate what sets them apart from others. The impact is that your value as an executive leader becomes a secret, which means no referral leads from your network, no hidden job market leads, no promotions, and weak interviewing skills. And this often means that you are a secret within your organization as well as externally. Remember, you're the best person to stand up for yourself and communicate your value as a leader. So let's take a look at some examples. The most concrete way I could find to showcase this was to give you some examples from LinkedIn of headlines, which have no brand differentiation. And really, as you can see here, they're just job titles. There are many people at the C-suite level, and I pulled these from actual profiles. They just list, here's my title. That's it. That's all I got for you. They might list the company. They might not. That's not really very clarifying, is it? You don't know what kind of organization they led. You don't know what their chief technology officer skill set is, where they might be a good fit, not from this. So how do you establish a professional brand differentiation? Well, the solution is to develop your own professional positioning statement and articulate that clearly and concisely. And then you can use that in your conversations with your network, in interviewing conversations when someone says, tell me about yourself, and all of your job search materials. That means your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your cover letters, your executive summary. So what does that mean? Well, your professional positioning statement is built on your unique value proposition. And your UVP is what shows what differentiates you from your peers and what's of most value to the organization in which you lead and serve. So that when I am working with clients, that means we are identifying, one, we go back to your set of strengths and skills and superpowers, and we combine that with what is high value in the marketplace today. What are the experiences and skill set you have that in 2022 people find valuable? And there are some new skills in 2022 that have surfaced that companies are actively hunting for in executive level leaders. So your professional positioning statement will show how you stand out from your competitors. Without a differentiator, it is very easy to get lost in a sea of applicants, and it becomes 10 times more difficult to get noticed and get interviews. With your professional positioning strategy and statement in place, you will have a clear, cohesive professional brand, which attracts recruiters and future employers to you. You and your UVP will no longer be a secret, and that means you will have more opportunities internal to your organization as well as external. So let me show you some examples of how spending time defining your brand can show up just in the headlines. Now, typically when I work with clients, we define a professional positioning statement that becomes the driver for the resume and LinkedIn profile. Parts of it show up. Certainly it starts to show up in the about section or in your career summary, and then it influences the content and the way in which we speak about and tell your career story in either of those documents as well as in your interviews. So just in the headline, though, we can extrapolate out a few things. And you can see the before, and then you can see some after. So I have 3 clients samples I pulled here. And if you look at each of these, you will quickly see, one, they're all kind of going for the same job title, but now you get a sense for this person is more into innovation and R&D with technology. They have data management expertise and enterprise solution expertise, and they're good with people and revenue and growth, right? They like to work collaboratively. This person is a technology thought leader, but they really focus on driving business solutions with technology innovation. Slight difference. This is R&D, which leads with technology. This is, what are your business problems and how do I solve them? And then here are some other areas in which this person has experience, not data, but more IT related things, right? Infrastructure, cybersecurity, potentially. Also, they've indicated what industry they're most interested in. So that, and what their expertise is in. So that's helpful. That will attract different recruiters than this headline alone. Then this one, we have a DevOps leader who does modernization, transformation, specializes in cloud, specializes in organizational design, has some hands-on engineering and architecture skill set still. They're also an author and international speaker, which means they have a whole different kind of reputation. And so again, you can see how each one of these individuals is different, just starting with a headline that shows the brand a little bit. It gives a hint to who they are. As you read through their LinkedIn profiles, which I haven't shared here, you would see even more evidence of a clearly defined brand. So let's talk about another case study. This is Beth, or Beth in quotes. She was a senior VP of IT and informational, I think IS, information systems. So Beth was ready for a CIO CTO role. She was an experienced strategy leader. She was already doing many of the parts of the CIO role in her job, in her current role. She hired a resume writer. The resume listed her achievements, contributions, thinking it would be obvious to anyone who read her resume, and they would know that she had what it took to be a CIO. She didn't get any interviews, no outreach, no right fit roles. Again, frustration, confusion. So what was she supposed to do? So here's what we found. So we looked at her resume again, and what I found was that there was no unique value proposition, no differentiator in there. She looked like every other person applying. There was no positioning statement derived from that or built on that UVP. And she hadn't really conveyed what set her apart and made obvious why she's the right person for any kind of role. So we spent some time and built her UVP elements, put those together, developed a clear, concise, cohesive positioning statement for her, declaring what she offers, what she's great at, what's the value she brings, along with where she thrives. And then we quickly updated her resume and LinkedIn About section. And she introduced herself to recruiters in her network using her professional positioning statement in conversations. The end result was wild success. Beth began getting her first full interviews with hiring managers for right fit, interesting, challenging roles as a CIO or CTO. So now step 3, finally, at long last, we're going to talk about how do you optimize your job search? We're going to talk about what that means to optimize your job search by networking, interviewing, and negotiating your way to success. Now, to be fair, I'm not actually going to talk a lot about networking and negotiating. We're going to focus primarily on interviewing as I talk about step 3, because I find that one of the most important and frequent mistakes people make when it comes to this optimization stage is that they confuse good conversation with job interview mastery. Even at the executive level, I hear this all the time. Just because you have, so here's what I want to say, just because you have a personal connection with someone and you enjoy, or you both enjoy the conversation, does not mean the interviewer found you qualified or capable for the role they want to fill. This conversation is not now, nor is it ever, about social connection. There is one objective of the interview process for you: to get an offer. And you need mastery level interview skills to convince each interviewer that you're the best choice for the job. No matter your level of experience today, you will have phone interviews, HR screening interviews, hiring manager interviews. You will likely have one or more peer interviews and additional executive leadership interviews with others. As I mentioned before, the interview process today, they just now throw lots of people at it. And at each interview with each person, you must quickly form a trusted connection with the interviewer and convince them that you have the experience, skills, and personality and passion for the job. And only then will you get the offer, when everyone agrees. So let me give you an example of a conversation I have every week with someone. I just had a great interview. We really connected. We laughed. We shared stories. We had a great rapport. Week later, I don't know what happened. The recruiter called and said they went a different way. So what went wrong? Well, what I'm going to tell you now is what to do to make it go right. I'm going to give you these 6 indispensable elements of executive interviewing in a strategy. And if you use this strategy, you will fast track your way to offers. So number 1, remember, always treat the interview like any other important meeting, which you already know how to do. Come prepared, bring notes, do your prep, and then take notes on the call. Or assuming you're doing a Zoom meeting, if you're in person, you take notes there. 2, identify what is it that each interviewer needs to know about you. And you want to do this before you get into the room so that you can easily provide the right information. It is possible to know what the interviewers are looking for and be prepared to deliver that information no matter what their style of interviewing is. And that is the second thing you want to do. Then you want to prepare and practice telling compelling stories for every question you might be asked so that you stand out. And compelling stories mean an example from your actual work history of a time when you did something that they want you to do. 4, you're going to establish trust and credibility in your first moments. Now, one of the ways that I have clients do that is they share their professional positioning statement in a spoken word form. I had a client call me the other day. We had just completed his, he had memorized it, he had worked, he had practiced introducing himself in that way. So now he went into his interviews, introduced himself using this new approach. And he said, Lori, I could see the difference in how people responded. They sat up straight, they were interested, they were impressed. And the conversation went so much better from there than it ever has before. So it is important to establish trust and credibility that you know who you are, you know what you offer, and you can hold your own in this conversation, and you know how to tell them what they need. 5, don't forget to ask great questions to show you care about the job and the company. I had a client recently, oh my goodness. She got a message from the recruiter for a vice president level position saying, oh, by the way, don't forget to prepare and ask good questions, because many people are showing up to the interviews and not asking questions. Now, I personally don't know how that happens. I would prepare questions in advance and make sure that your questions demonstrate your interest in the position and your interest in the company and your interest in contributing to them in an effective way. It's not questions about benefits or salary. You can ask those later, but make sure you're asking smart, relevant questions that you need the answer to be effective. I like to think of it as, what questions would you ask on day 1? Ask those questions in the interview. Number 6, express interest. Be explicit about that. Nobody assumes you're interested at the end of the interview if you don't say so. Ask about next steps. You want to take charge of this. What are you doing next? When can I expect to hear from you? And don't forget to send a thank you note. Do it electronically, as you all probably do now. It does help. Okay. So I have one final case study I want to share with you about Thomas, who's a VP of operations. That was his target job. He had landed interview after interview after interview, and he would have good conversations. He felt connection with the interviewer. He thought he was a perfect fit, and then he would get no offers. Outcome again, confusion, self-doubt. He was ready to quit. We got to work. We crafted his branding statement, professional positioning statement piece, introduction, showcased his UVP. We designed a strategy that put him in control of the interview. We crafted responses for every type of interview question so that Thomas could showcase what he'd done, what he could do. He practiced, he prepared, he treated interviews like important client meetings, and he followed up. And the end result was success. He got multiple offers, and today he's in a role that moved his career to a whole new level that he'd never anticipated. So let me take a step back here and recap what we've talked about so far. We have talked about the exact 3 steps to land your right fit executive role that gets you more pay and gives you more impact. We've talked about some very common executive job search mistakes. So I shared 3 common mistakes based on the steps that I recommend you take, as well as the overarching mistake. And we talked about the type of search that is guaranteed to get you offers without sucking up all your time. We talked about marketing strategies to dominate your search, and we talked about an interview strategy designed to secure offers. So I have a couple of other testimonials from clients. We have Caitlin on the left. She appreciated that there was a plan of attack, plan of action, and we got on track right away. We redefined her career story based on her UVP and her goals, target positions. She is now vice president. And we aligned her tools to her new direction. There's Diana, who's now a COO. Again, we worked on aligning her resume and LinkedIn profile and her voice as a job seeker, which really is about her professional positioning. And then she got an offer and she was very happy, as you can see. And then, oh, I put Caitlin in here twice. My apologies. We don't need to talk about Caitlin again. So I talked in the emails that you got beforehand. I believe I mentioned that I was going to share with you a program that I have that might help you if you're interested in getting some support in solving these problems. So let me move into that. So first of all, this is a 12-week coaching program, and I'm going to give you a complete breakdown. Here's what's inside. So number 1, phase 1, we're going to identify your perfect next role and find the right roles for you. So we are going to identify your superpowers, your passions. We're going to talk about how to identify your strengths and superpowers and impact to define your perfect fit role. And we're going to combine those with your passions and values so we can focus in on target jobs. And we're going to get clear on the work you want to do next and how that fits your career goals. So you don't have to do this by yourself. By the way, this is a one-on-one coaching program with me specifically. Then we're going to identify your perfect fit company profile. We're going to envision the environment where you'll thrive so you can maximize your impact. We're going to add in your list of practical, sort of pragmatic priorities. And then we're going to identify your target company profile so you won't just land the role, but you'll guarantee it will be in the right place. Next, we're going to build a list of target companies and roles that fit what you're looking for. So we're going to identify, and then we're going to identify a targeted job search strategy so you can find your next role quickly and avoid wrong fit opportunities. And you will ensure, and you will know how to make sure that every job you apply for is a good fit. Then we're going to, phase 2, we're going to develop your unique value proposition and your professional positioning. So we're going to clarify what makes you great, what makes you different from your peers, what is of greatest value in the marketplace today, and what will command the attention of key decision makers during conversations, as well as in your materials. Then we're going to design a clear, cohesive professional brand to attract recruiters and future employers to you so that you will be seen as an authority in your domain and recruiters will fight for you. You're going to develop a growing network of advocates for you and your right fit roles. And finally, we're going to craft your resume and LinkedIn profile to highlight your unique value proposition so that you are differentiated in this noisy and overcrowded talent market. You're going to tell your story in your voice through an executive lens now, weaving in relevant keywords for your target role so you get noticed and selected faster. And by crafting your resumes, I will do this with you. You will not be doing the writing. I will. Just to be clear. And then in phase 3, we're going to talk about, we're going to work on generating referrals and interviews from your dream companies. So we're going to make sure we build a plan to grow your professional network to reach decision makers and influencers. And we're going to use LinkedIn for that. Then we're going to navigate your conversations to showcase your UVP so you can maximize your referrals. Then we're going to talk about my land the job interview strategy so that you know, remember I said you have to know how to give them the information they need. We're going to define that for you. Together, we will work out a plan so that you can be in control of the interview and give them the information they need, no matter what they ask or how they ask it, and you will stand out in this process. Also, we want to make sure you know how to get information that you need about company performance, company culture, and company leadership style so you can make an informed decision. And finally, we'll talk about negotiating your terms to craft your ideal role and secure competitive, high-value compensation. So getting the offer isn't the final step. Getting the offer is when you make a decision about what will make the perfect offer for you. And then you ask for what you want, so you walk away with the right fit, best compensation plan for you. And ultimately, you will land in an epic executive role where you have the impact and income you desire. Now, I mentioned in one of my emails that I'm throwing in some bonuses. So I have designed some really fun bonuses for you. So first of all, we're going to give you the bonus where you learn how to build your network as you walk out the door. So when you leave an organization, we're going to talk about how you turn that into a bridge building experience as opposed to a bridge burning experience. You are going to learn how to develop and grow your network as you exit a company. Next, and even as you go through your job search process. Then we're going to get you a plan for the first 30 days. And part of that is, how do you build a new support system in your new organization so that you can be successful, as well as some other things you want to do in those first 30 days to ensure success in your new role. I am also offering a compensation analysis for one of your target jobs. For your top target job, we will secure compensation analysis for you so you can see what the market is paying, what's happening right now for jobs similar to the one that you're seeking. And you can find out what you're worth in the marketplace before you start negotiations. And finally, I'm going to give you access to a brand new private executive networking group. This is for executives only, typically just and right now it's just in tech. You get access for 6 months at no cost to you. You can build relationships, form connections, learn, and get leadership support. So those are some of the things that I'm very excited to be able to share with you. So I want to answer a quick question. Do I guarantee results? Most people don't actually think to ask this question, but I am answering it right out of the gate because I'm one of the few people I know in this space that guarantees outcomes. So if you follow the program, interviews for right fit roles and offers are guaranteed. So the way we do that is we use a data-driven approach to job search tracking to measure and improve the results of your process so we can optimize your search and guarantee results. You will absolutely, hands down, be getting first interviews for right fit opportunities that are interesting and a good fit for you. And then ultimately, at the end of this program, you will be getting offers. Now, to be fair, while this is a 3-month program, I cannot guarantee offers within that 3 months. Depends on when you start interviewing, and it depends. I can guarantee first interviews, and I will support you through the entire process until you get the offer. But because there are so many interviewers added to the process today, it sometimes takes a little longer. I don't know how long it'll take a company to finish their process. So, and I also guarantee that you work directly with a coach with experience in tech. And really, that means you will be working with me. So I want to share with you kind of the value of what you might be getting, what you would be getting. Sorry, I'm looking at my other screen here. So here's kind of a value stack of what you get. The entire 3-month customized program, which includes all of those things we talked about, is $4,500 in value. We have some hands-on coaching with me until you land your job. Brand new master resume, 3 targeted resumes, cover letters, updated LinkedIn profile guaranteed to attract right fit roles. So those are some of the concrete deliverables you'll receive. Land the job interview strategy personalized for you to maximize your offers with a customized negotiation approach. to secure the best compensation. There will be bonuses, which we just talked about, and unlimited support throughout the entire process. So the total value of this is $17,250. The actual, oh, I just lost my slide. Oh, here we go. So as a special, just for those of you on this call, if you enroll by March 25th, you can get started now and you can have this whole program for $5,000. That requires a prepayment, and that includes all of the things that we talked about. So you won't be paying $17,250. Right now, I charge $5,500 for this program, but if you enroll in response to this event and get started, and if you enroll by the 25th and get yourself scheduled and paid, then you will get a $500 discount. So next steps, if you want to talk more about this program and whether this is a fit for you, which I think is a good idea, I wouldn't expect you to invest without us talking. Use this link, which I'm about to see if I can copy and paste it from here. I probably can't. So I'm going to drop a link in the chat. If you want to talk about whether this is a good fit for you, feel free to schedule a time to chat. And we'll have a conversation about you, your job search, your career. And if we're a good fit, we'll talk about whether or not, if this is the right program for you and should we move forward together. My hope is that you will also get value straight out from the conversation. So feel free to use that link and schedule some time. I will be sending out a follow-up email with the link in it. So if you can't grab it from the chat, because sometimes that's how things go, you will get it in an email. So I want to thank you all for being here and staying with me throughout. I'm going to find my way back to the settings. You can go ahead and unmute yourself if you have a question, or if you're going to raise your hand, use the icons, not your actual hand, because I can't see everybody's video. So I'm just going to say, if you want to ask any questions of me right now, feel free to open up unmute yourself and then ask away. Okay, great. Thank you so much for showing up today. I appreciate it. Thank you for sticking with me. I know a lot of people have had to run. So if you do have questions, feel free to send me an email. Go ahead and schedule time. Use the link that I dropped in the chat and schedule time if you want to chat with me. Otherwise, have a fabulous rest of your week. And I look forward to connecting again with you soon.